Thank you very much. Great to be here, and thank you so much for this opportunity. Okay, I have got a theme today, which is really musicians and reinvention, and I'm going to be telling you about three things. Two brand new programs at NEC, one about El Sistema and the Abra Fellows, and if that's unfamiliar, I will explain. The second about musical entrepreneurship, and then I'm going to give a little analysis of where American orchestras are at the moment. And there's a tremendous through line between each of those three subjects at the moment. I'm going to end with a video. The video will be about El Sistema and the Abra Fellows. It's a captured 5-minute video which has been specially produced for us by Jamie Bernstein. Jamie is the daughter of Leonard Bernstein, and she has been doing a major documentary about our new program, which she hopes to have out later this year. But this is a 5-minute extract, which I think you will find to be fascinating. Everything that I'll be talking about will have an American focus, I have to admit. And my approach to everything that I'm going to be talking about will be one of hope, optimism, energy, and tremendous commitment for the future. So here's an important phrase that I'm going to be referring to a number of times this morning. Apostles to the community. And I'm going to apply this to the reinvention and where musicians are at the moment, because I'm basically quoting Dr. Abreu, who is the founder of El Sistema in Venezuela. And he has said this: young professional musicians have obligations they may not have previously considered. It is not enough for them to love their instruments. They must learn to love their responsibilities as citizens. They need to be apostles to the community. So, let me talk about these two brand new programs at NEC. The first, El Sistema, and what we are referring to as the Abra Fellows. How many of you know a lot about El Sistema in Venezuela? So about half. So let me just give you a thumbnail sketch of what El Sistema is all about, because it is, I think, the greatest musical phenomenon happening in the world today, and that's not hype. I think it's absolutely accurate. This is a program that was created about 35 years ago by a genius called Dr. Abreu, who is a musician, a conductor, a politician, has served under 7 presidents in Venezuela, and has managed to persuade his government to totally subsidize this program. 35 years ago, he started with 17 people in his garage. Now there are 300,000 kids in this program, and 70% of those kids come from the most impoverished areas, come from the barrios. And if you've been to Venezuela and to Caracas, you'll know how devastatingly poor those areas are. It's free. He has got this funded not through education, but as a social change program. I think that was his genius. The kids who come through this have an intensive after-school program. They're working maybe 3-4 hours a day, either individually or in ensembles. It's self-replicating, so that if you become expert as a 10-year-old, you'll start teaching 5-year-olds. And I think that is absolutely fascinating. If I contrast what we at NEC do compared to El Sistema, at NEC we are all about excellence, and maybe as a result of being excellent, you're going to play with some passion. Here, they play with passion, and if excellence comes after that, all well and good. And my word, do you hear the difference when you hear them perform? This is a program and a level of performance which is teaching the so-called developed West a great deal from this developing country. The whole program is based upon ensembles. They have hundreds and hundreds of ensembles, lots and lots of orchestras. The most famous of their orchestras is the Simon Bolivar Orchestra, whose conductor is Gustavo Dudamel, who's also the music director of the LA Philharmonic. That's their flagship. That's the orchestra that goes out and creates huge waves around the globe. There is Dr. Abreu. We at NEC have had a relationship with Dr. Abreu and El Sistema in Venezuela going back about 11 or 12 years, long before documentaries were made and long before the LA Philharmonic discovered Gustavo Dudamel, who in fact made his debut at NEC when he was 19 years old. So this is already a very, very in-depth relationship, and it's one that Dr. Abreu trusts enormously. And he basically last year anointed us to start El Sistema USA, to actually start this program in the States. So we feel very privileged to be placed in that position. There are 3 parts of the program that we are involved with. And I'm going to basically focus upon just one area, which is the Abreu Fellows Training Program, and tell you more about that. You can check out the rest of it if you go on to the El Sistema USA website. So, last year, we advertised that we were going to train 10 Abreu Fellows with brand new skills, and we were going to train them for a year, and at the end of that year, they would be put out into the market, and we would see what would happen to them. We had 100 applications last year with very, very little marketing, and we selected 10 absolutely extraordinary young people. 7 of them come from the US, 2 come from Canada, and 1 comes from Guatemala. They come from a variety of backgrounds, but these 10 kids have really bonded as a team. I call them kids. The average age is 30. And they have a mindset about the need for social change and the place of music in that social change, which I find to be extremely rewarding just to be in the room talking to them. We have classes during their year with us which are based upon a couple of major subjects. One is based upon musical skills that they will need as they go out there, and the other is based upon entrepreneurial skills that they will need to be leaders, to allow them to be successful. So they're doing all sorts of stuff. They're learning how to conduct choirs, child psychology. They're involved with programs to do with Kodai, Orff, and Suzuki, but they're also doing marketing, PR, Spanish, strategic planning, and financial planning. We are sending them out for internships, and at this very moment, all 10 of them are in Venezuela for 2 months to learn experientially how it is done there. They're not just in Caracas, they are all over the country. What is so interesting about the effect that this program has had upon the field, and our intention is over the next 5 years to have 50 Abreu Fellows out there, changing the world. That's their remit. At the very least, they have to change the world, is the interest that the field has shown. The field, as we began this program, started to monitor us, and of the 10, 6 of them, before we had begun, were guaranteed employment at the end when they graduated. 6 were guaranteed employment. I find that an extraordinary demonstration of the need in the States for this type of skills-based operation. This takes me to my second new program at NEC, and here are 3 basic principles. The first is how do you get employed? There have been until recently 2 basic ways of being employed. You could audition or apply for a job, in which case you'd be engaged, offered a salary with benefits. The second was you might set yourself up as a teacher and eke out a living in that way. There's now a third possibility, which is you needn't do either of those. You can in fact do something far more interesting, and you can actually reinvent yourself and place yourself out there in the marketplace.